Now, back to Miller on Sports, the show where everyone feels like rushing the field. Everything else is just talk. Brought to you by the law offices of Ron Scholes.
Thanks again to Alexis Kimball joining us Fridays. We're getting ready for the weekend, Larry. I know you can feel it. The weather's nice outside on this Friday afternoon. You can always listen online at 1600thebeach.com. Thanks again to Alexis. Also, Christian Leitner joining me. And I know he's busy. I'm glad he could spend some time with us. But I'm telling you, I will whoop him. I will smack him down in table tennis. I just feel it. I know it. I know I can beat him. Joining me in studio right now, my third guest on this Friday afternoon is Tom Stanton, head coach of the Ponte Vedra baseball team. Coach, good to see you. Thanks for joining me in studio.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I know we talked maybe a month or so ago, and I thought you were really good, so I thought, why not? You got to come back in studio. You're that good.
I'm glad I'm fooling you.
Absolutely. Glad you can join us. You can always find me on Facebook and Twitter. It's Miller on Sports, and you can listen online to any conversation at 1600thebeach.com. So let's talk about the offseason. I know baseball's always in full swing, especially Florida. You've got weather, great weather all year round. What's going on with Ponte Vedra baseball right now?
Well, yes, it's a year-long process. We just finished our summer baseball program. We had two teams, then coming freshmen, what I call the not freshman team. Everybody was freshmen was on one, and just trying to introduce with the freshmen a little bit more of what we want to expect at the high school level. Some of them haven't really been introduced to that, so we introduce base running stuff, certain skills, hitting behind runners and stuff like that, and the weight room as well. And then the other team that's not composed of any freshmen, that's kids that may be on our teams the year before, or guys that might have been cut, or guys that are interested in playing, showing them the same things, maybe getting a little bit more repetitions outside of their travel ball, and continuing them on the weight room as well.
Now, before we go on, I need to figure this out. I know we've got coach, skipper, manager. What do you like to be called?
Not late for dinner, but other than that, you can't see it on TV, but I'm usually not late for dinner. But
nor am I.
Yeah, exactly. But head coach. I mean, sometimes you're running somebody that says skipper. That's usually a few years more advanced than I am, but either way, it's respectful and it's a cool thing.
You talked about what's going on right now with summer ball with Ponte Vedra, and I know a lot of high schools. Is that a big thing that you've seen in baseball? Because you went to Middleburg, what was it, class of '94?
Yes, sir.
And then you went, your first coast boy, I think, I'm calling you a Jacksonville boy.
Absolutely.
For the most part. But is that something that you've seen grow and develop as these high school players getting into the gym and lifting a lot of weights over, say, the last 20 years?
Absolutely. It almost is a necessity from the standpoint of what we alluded to before. There's a lot of baseball being played, and your body can break down. The showcases, the travel ball, all that kind of stuff that goes on. I mean, it's almost too much at times where a guy can break down. A guy that may be 87, 88 in the summer, you may see him 83, 84 in the spring. There's a time that they got to have a little bit more of a recovery period and build up a little bit. There's some programs that may lift a month or two outside of their fall just before their spring. Well, the lift for 2 months to try to prepare for the other 10 doesn't really add up mathematically to me. So we kind of try to build the base of it in the summer for those that haven't done it, but continue what we've been doing throughout the spring and everything during the season.
And Ponte Vedra coming off a very nice run in the state. I know the state title is definitely very close. Y'all are feeling it. You've got some sophomores, a very senior-laden, junior-laden team coming up.
It could be. I mean, there's always every year, not to sound challenging, but there's always somebody that made the year before that doesn't, or didn't make it the year before that does. It depends on the effort level in between during this time period. So we did have a very successful season this past year, and we've been fortunate the first 4 years to reach the Final Four twice. Make it a step further each time. So hopefully we can make that state championship run, and I think that's every coach's goal, but we really do preach that. It's not something that's really an empty sentence when we say it. We really believe it. The kids buy into it. They've experienced that success, and keeps them hungry to take that little bit extra step.
And we see it with a lot of programs. You get used to that success, and if there's a drop-off or anything, it's kind of disappointing. But you as a coach, not a skipper, not a manager, as a coach, what have you seen from yourself? What have you learned as a coach when coaching these guys that are teenagers and not even 18 yet, some of them?
You got to find a way to make it interesting, not just necessarily the fun aspect, but something that challenges them. These kids are wanting to be challenged more so than we give them credit for. I found myself at the end of this past year adding some things and wanting their input on some stuff where the kids really enjoyed that. I mean, we went over some bunt defenses, and we started adding some pick plays on our bunt defenses that I asked them how we should implement it. And it kind of gave them a little bit more of a thought process that was going on, so it wasn't just in the mundane, oh, we're going over this bunt D or we're going over this bunt D. Because in baseball, it's not like a wing tee offense where you got to put in something different. Usually everybody has the same bunt defense.
Yeah.
But they may have a little bit of a twist that's a little bit different. And asking the players how they think it's going to work or what's the easiest way to communicate to them signs-wise back and forth from a dugout or from pitcher to infielder helps it keep from being monotonous. So that's really really trying to teach them to be comfortable, not just comfortable in the position they're playing, but comfortable concentrating. And so when they're concentrating all the time, my dad taught me when I was flipping eggs for him at his restaurant, it was when you're always at your best when you can concentrate and relax at the same time. So my goal was to try to keep these guys as relaxed as possible, but focused at the same time.
Now you bring up food, and that's very risky right here in the Miller on Sports studio, because usually when somebody brings up food, I say, hey, where's the food? You bring up food, you need to bring it. Yeah. Now where's the restaurant?
Players Cafe out at Ponte Vedra, Solana Road. Yeah, so he's breakfast, lunch, and he's done everything well. He used to own another establishment in Jacks Beach before he sold it. So, he's owned a couple of them. He does a good job and has a lot of caricatures on the wall, a lot of a golf theme. A lot of people that have been out at Ponte Vedra before they go play golf have stopped in there some point. Olin Palmer's been in there, and a bunch of people that you didn't realize would stop in there till you see the picture on the wall.
Oh, yeah, some of the greats. What's your favorite dish there?
Oh, sheesh, mine. Whatever's in front of me, probably. There's a lot of good things there. You kind of take advantage of being the owner's son and getting a little creative at times, but they do a great job. I guess the champions breakfast, eggs,
Champions.
a little bit of everything, eggs, pancakes, bacon, hash browns, you name it, it's usually involved. So.
That's pretty good. That's very fitting. Tom Stanton joining me in studio, head coach of the Ponte Vedra baseball team, talking some baseball, local, all that fun stuff. It is 1600 The Beach, AM 1600 on your radio dial, and also 1600thebeach.com. Tom, I know we've talked about baseball, the local scene, not just with Ponte Vedra, but a few other establishments. How would you describe the local scene right here on the First Coast of high school baseball?
It's just tremendous. I mean, the talent level and the depth of the talent level, year in and year out is just unbelievable. I thought 2011 was probably one of the deepest talent pools that we've had around here, and looking back at that 2011 draft, it was a very deep draft throughout just for Major League Baseball. And if that's the case, that means it's deep for all the colleges, all the high schools, and everything as well. So every year you see the D1 kids going to play. A lot of kids from a lot of the programs we play have 4 or 5 kids going to play college baseball. And, I think there's about 10% of all athletes that play in high school go to play college sports.
Yeah.
So when you see 4 or 5 from one high school baseball team go and play, that's a good amount. So, it's fun to see. It just shows a lot of hard work of the kids, what they know it takes in there. And obviously the parent sacrifices is very necessary at times, but also it's difficult, especially now. But, it's one of those things that's very encouraging to see that come up all the way from the junior college or junior high school and all that way up.
Now, I did not know this about you. We were talking before coming on during one of the breaks how you played minor league baseball from 96 to 99. You were a catcher, and you caught from some pretty well-known names.
Yeah, I've had some opportunities, and they were very fun. The one spring training I was with the Dodgers, I was able to catch Earl Hershiser and Armando Benitez, Rick Reed. A lot of those, when Bob Apodaca was the pitching coach there with the Mets, a lot of guys that one of the catchers we had when I was playing was Jason Phillips. He played with, he was there, and, he was there for a reason. A lot of different guys that you played against. I played against Jimmy Rollins. I mean, I knew he was going to have a chance to play for a while, not necessarily in the big leagues, but it seemed like every time I put the fingers down to give a sign, that guy was standing on second base every inning. It seemed like. It just seemed like he was out there, like they started every inning with him on second base. So it was fun. You learn a lot of things about culture, how to budget, how to pack for road trips and stuff like that. So it was an experience I would never trade in.
Oh, I bet, without a doubt. Tom Stanton joining us in studio, talking Ponte Vedra baseball and much, much more. Now, answer me this. We see R.A. Dickey. He's kind of slid off a little bit, but before the All-Star game, he was fantastic. ERA, everything. He's a knuckleballer. Have you ever caught a knuckleballer? Not the actual knuckleballer. I've caught a guy with a split finger that was pretty good. And I wanted it to go in the dirt. I wanted it to be something I could block. But, it's amazing to see him do that. He's a little bit of a enigma because he throws it harder than most. So
it's probably very difficult to catch. But he was a traditional guy before he went to that, so it's worked out for him, and he's been very successful.
Do you think he can continue this?
Why not? I mean, law of average catch up with everybody, but that's a niche pitch, and when it's working, it's working. And so as long as he keeps it going, doing whatever he's done to prepare for games, I don't see why not.
That's the voice of Tom Stanton, head coach of the Ponte Vedra baseball team, joining Miller on Sports on this Friday afternoon. It's the end of hour number 1. We'll take a break. Thanks again to Kristen Leitner, Alexis Kimball. We'll continue the conversation with Tom Stanton, some more baseball, and much more on a very warm but pleasant Friday afternoon.
Law offices of Ron Scholes presents Miller on Sports, the only sports show that keeps you glued to your seat. Everything else is just talk. Now, here's your host, Richard Miller.
It's hour number 2 right here on 1600 The Beach for Miller on Sports. You can always listen online. Check us out, the website. Here's what you do. 1600thebeach.com. You'll see up at the top. You can listen online, and you can do that. Just follow the directions. I kid. You can also find us on AM 1600 on your radio dial. And we're always brought to you by the law offices of Ron Scholes. It's hour number 2. We're getting you ready for the weekend. Coming up, John Vitas will join me like he does every Friday at 5:20. It's a racing report. We'll talk about A.J. Allmendinger, a little bit of what's going on with Carl Edwards, a new crew chief. We'll find out the number 99 car is struggling. Will they make the chase? We'll talk to John Vitas here in just a little bit at 5:20. Joining me once again in studio is Tom Stanton, head coach of the Ponte Vedra baseball team. And Tom, again, thank you for joining me in studio.
No problem. Thank you.
Now, I heard that we have a certain soup that is that your dad's favorite?
Oh, yeah. He's always pushing something out there, anything from chili to split pea or something. But every day has its own soup. So we'll figure out. I can't remember. Usually Monday is a chili, so I can't remember what Friday was. Probably some chicken or something.
What's your favorite soup of the day?
I can't turn down chili, really. I can't really.
You said you don't turn down any meal.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
But chili's one of the, even if it's there, I somehow use it.
Very interesting. Well, Tom, I know you've been watching somewhat of the British Open. Are you a big golfer?
Not really. Probably the worst swing in the United States. If you stand in front of me, you have a very good chance to not get hit because I'll probably hit the ball to the forward or back. But with the golf tournament's a good time. I probably get voted the ugliest swing, and that's fine. The kids get a laugh at me. That happens, but it's a good time, and it's a good time to kind of have some fellowship and talk to people and kind of get to know them a little bit better and ride around on the golf cart. I mean, I can drive the cart just fine, and I can find the next hole. But as far as it's the ball getting into the whole problem. Apparently, that's a big deal. But I guess we'll get
the goal of golf.
Yeah, I guess we'll take step by step. So we'll see.
Now, is it as bad as Charles Barkley in that hitch in his swing? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that. He's probably got a better one than I do. I mean, it might. It's mine's smoother. But uglier, if that could happen. So, it can get real bad.
Almost like a hybrid Jim Furyk, Charles Barkley, one of those. Okay.
It's a hybrid. It's definitely a hybrid. It's definitely a hybrid, that's for sure.
Well, you were a catcher back in the minor leagues and back at Middleburg and everything. We were talking during the break as well. But who do you think is the best catcher right now in Major League Baseball?
Ruiz with the Phillies is very good. As a former catcher, like we're talking in the break, you want to have the guys that the pitchers seem to really love to throw to. You think back of everybody was a little surprised when Cliff Lee was traded that he went back to the Phillies. I think Ruiz had a lot to do with that. He was really comfortable with that. Pitchers really like throwing to certain guys. The Eddie Perez's, the Charlie O'Brien's that Greg Maddux caught or threw to. I mean, Javi Lopez didn't catch for Greg Maddux very often.
Yeah.
Even in the playoffs, it didn't happen very often. Maybe when they had a DH where DH could, Javi Lopez could DH in the World Series or something. But other than that, the guys that could really catch and throw and handle a staff, I would say Ruiz is one of them. Molina, all those guys do a really good job. So that's the ones I really kind of keep an eye on.
Now, let me ask you this, Tom. We saw with Bryce Harper, he was a catcher in high school. He was a catcher at a very young age. He switched over, I think, at community college when he was out in Las Vegas. Do you recommend that players go with the catcher position, or is it just too much wear and tear on the body?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, it's a tough position to play. It really is. I mean, you get foul balls hit off of you that people don't really see, but you get the feel. Bryce Harper was a catcher. There was a lot of talk: would he play outfield? Would he catch? Was his bat his best tool? Does the bat suffer if he has to catch? And he was just a freak of an athlete that happened to be a very good baseball player. There's a lot of good athletes that don't play baseball or can't play baseball. But his skill set allowed him to do that, and I think Nationals chose that the outfield would be the best way to make all of his tools work at one time. So.
Did you catch any of that Nationals Marlins with Ozzie Guillen in the back and forth with the pine tar?
Oh, there's no telling. Guillen's fun to watch. He's almost like his own highlight reel. But you've seen him. I remember seeing him play with the Braves back then, White Sox and stuff. He's fun. But those guys play hard. Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, they play at 100 miles an hour, which is fun to watch at the major league level. So, it's a real new fresh air coming through Major League Baseball right now.
If you had to pick, you're starting a team. We've got one side picking. I'll pick a team, for instance. You have Mike Trout or Bryce Harper. Who do you take? You have first pick, by the way.
Wow. Knowing what we know now, I think you flip a coin. Probably. I guess Mike Trout. I'd probably Mike Trout. Some people say, well, you can move Bryce. Well, yeah, they're almost Bryce Harper's a little bit younger. I think he went to junior college after his sophomore year of high school, got his GED and stuff. So, man, Mike Trout really hits the low fastball very well. I saw him hit one about 6 inches off the ground last night in the left center field out of the ballpark. And, he unbelievable catch. He might have made the catch of the year a couple weeks ago. He was 36 inches almost off the ground, catching the ball off the wall. So, he's unbelievable athlete. He's been there and produced a little bit more consistently. So I'd probably say Mike Trout.
Tom Stanton joining us, head coach of Ponte Vedra Baseball joining us. It is the off season, but we're talking plenty of Major League Baseball and much more on this Friday afternoon. You can always tune in at 1600thebeach.com. Now, we were talking about the community involvement with your baseball team, what all's going on. What would you say the average turnout is for a ball game?
Oh, there's at least 100 or so, maybe more than that. Probably, I'm probably being a little bit more conservative. I would say we have close to 200. If we have a Ponte Vedra Nice or a Ponte Vedra Creekside game, which seems to be more of a rivalry game, or even some of the Fletcher games when we play beach to beach, the kind of thing, we can get into a couple hundred people pretty easily. It's a lot of fun. Everything. I'm very meticulous how things run. I think it needs to be more of an event, not just a game that's played. So we try to cater to the Ponte Vedra Athletic Association. All the younger 12 and under kids, if they want to come out and run on the field with us, they usually send a team every day. Our athletic director, lots of things come through free if they're wearing their uniform and stuff like that. So we try to make it an event. Fastest pitch thing we do before the games with Chick-fil-A. They really do a great job with that. If you can guess it, you get certain combos and whatnot. So it's a lot of fun. I really just think, we want to build something where the kids, as they grow up, they want to play at Ponte Vedra High School. And that's something that's important to me. And, everything from the maintenance guys keeping the bathrooms clean to the concession stand run by some of the moms and dads, how they run the grill, make sure we have enough food, make sure we have enough hot chocolate on cold days, early part of February and March. That's important because that makes people, when you run out of coffee at a Jags game or something, people get upset because that's one of the things that's important. So we try to make it a bigger event and make it something where it's something they want to do on a Friday night or 2 or 3 days a week and keep us involved. But, I think Ponte Vedra is excited to have a high school named after the community. And, it's a very noble thing, very noble community, so I think we're excited.
Now, Tom, we're kind of running out on time, and I really enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun. I'm sure our listeners have as well. Tell us a little bit about this Rising Stars and what y'all do with the baseball team.
Rising Stars is a league. It's kind of a challenger league that some of the kids could have any from a physical or even, autism or something. And we really have our kids get out there in the community, really help them understand game, have a little bit of fun, let these kids understand that there are some kids that have some things that may hinder them from having what they have. So we try to make them aware of that, have some community awareness, and have something for those kids to look up to. Tom
Stanton, head coach at Ponte Vedra Baseball, joining us right here in studio for Miller on Sports. Tom, it was a pleasure. Coach, it was a pleasure. Thank you again. You're always welcome. I'll always have a mic crack for you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. There he is, Tom Stanton, joining us on this Friday afternoon. It is AM 1600 on your radio dial. Coming up, John Vitas joins us with his antics, his opinions. It's a racing report. We'll talk A.J. Allmendinger, Carl Edwards, and also Angela and Amber Cope. Seems like they're trying to raise some funds. We'll talk about that. John Vitas joining us. He's on deck. Stay tuned.